Welcome to Retro Movie Geek, the show wherein we, your humble hosts, watch and discuss a retro movie, which we define as any movie 20 years old or older. This, of course, means we spoil the heck fire. Am I right, Daryl? At every movie we cover. So consider yourself forewarned. I am Joel, and I'm joined by Daryl, who may or may not have left his certain wall flag in another room, but
I almost want to say, they expected me to podcast next to a colored man, but I didn't honor the movie.
Peter was going to actually say that line
because I didn't remember how Silkwood was so racist. I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
all that stuff passed by me. I guess I was too busy leering at
Meryl
Cher.
Streep. I would say Meryl Streep's one boob.
You were ogling Esther.
Yeah, I was ogling Esther, I guess.
The one with the wig.
Well, I saw it when I was, I was a youngin', so we're dirty. All
right. That's when you were dirty-minded. Yeah, okay, Daryl.
I'm more better now. I'm better than this.
Yes, totally. So obviously I'm Joel. That's Daryl underneath me. If you're watching this in video, and then Peter is that way. Yes, Peter is right there.
I'm here. Yes,
and we have a special guest, the one and the only. And I'm going to get rid of this now so we can see names. Nathan Bartlebaugh is here. Welcome, Nathan.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a minute since you've been here.
It is. This is the second time, and I've still never gotten the list of movies to actually pick from.
It kind of haven't been updated in a long time. I haven't had.
I would love to blame Peter for that, but since I'm one who usually hands out the link, that would be on me. So I probably should have done that at some point. Sorry.
I told Joel, wait till I've updated it, and it hasn't happened yet. So,
to be fair, it has happened in a while, but
no, it's for the disclaimer that Silkwood's not my fault. I'm just kidding.
It's Peter and Daryl's. If it's anybody's fault.
I wanted to do this movie. I really wanted.
We've been jonesing for this for some time.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, because we're all jonesing for it, and of course, as I've already said, if you're listening to the audio version of this episode, be sure to go check us out on YouTube, Mom and Pop Video Shop. We have a video version of every episode we're doing now here. I'm sorry if you want to have to look at us while we talk like idiots, but Peter. In the meantime, do ye have a synopsis?
Do ye?
Yes, I do.
Right.
And like it says, it's the back of a VHS.
Yes, it is. Here we are.
Meryl Streep stars in this unforgettable film as Karen Silkwood, a flirtatious, difficult yet likable young divorced woman who works in her Oklahoma town's plutonium plant. Sharing a house with two other co-workers, boyfriend Drew Stevens, played by Kurt Russell, and the lonely, yearning Dolly Pelliker, played by Cher. Silkwood's routine of punching in and out of work and living for the weekends is suddenly changed when she becomes contaminated with plutonium. Speaking out against the plant's safety hazards, Karen loses her job status, her friends, and eventually her life. A powerful and deeply moving drama.
That is not what the back of my VHS says, just so we're clear.
Nope, probably not. There's a lot of different VHSs out there.
So I would say one should be concerned with the safety protocols when one becomes contaminated with plutonium. I feel like that's a fairly fair. That's a fair thing. By the way, I also love that Daryl's texting while you're talking and we can hear it because he didn't even bother.
You hear that?
I hear the tick, 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 tick.
That was suspense music for the.
Yes. Daryl has the restraint of a 14-year-old girl with a phone. I feel like when it comes to
I was too busy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
You mentioned that people could go watch this, and he's the only one doing anything interesting with the camera right now.
That's true.
Very kinetic over there.
Yes. I know. Every Daryl, it's like a found footage film every episode. It's amazing. So, yes, let's just go around the horn here. Nathan, we'll start with you. When did you first see Silkwood?
So I saw pieces of it on television in the 80s, but as I learned when I was talking to you, and I'm like, oh, this is one of those movies where Meryl Streep dies of cancer, but no, it wasn't. And
no,
I think
not quite.
No,
I would think I was combining it with about 3 or 4 other super depressing movies that came out this year, particularly Testament, where I think
that one.
One.
Jane Alexander just dies slowly of radiation poisoning with her children, like sitting on the couch or something. So it had been a while since I had seen this, and I realized I don't know that I ever saw it in its entirety, and I wasn't super familiar with her story. So, hey, the 80s love to do these sorts of movies. We don't see them as much. Where I mean, you look at the 5 best actress awards are up that year, and I think 3 of them died in their movies. So there were only 2, and there was only one that was even lighthearted. So it was always serious. It was always sort of martyr stories or whistleblower stories. This is a pretty good one, I think. There's a lot of star power in it, and I really enjoyed seeing Kurt Russell and Cher and Meryl Streep all in the same movie, and a little bit before they were, dyed in the wool with everything that they've done. I mean, it was kind of fun to remember, how strong, they're still strong actresses, particularly Meryl Streep, but I think we expect a certain thing from Meryl Streep now. It was probably not as expected. I mean, she had done Kramer vs. Kramer and some stuff like that, but
Sophie's Choice had come out at this point, right? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that was a comedy too, right?
Woman?
That was a comedy class.
Exactly,
Comedy classic.
yeah.
Yes, very
How about
funny.
French Lieutenant's Woman? Was that before this or after?
Probably before. I think
because she was really young.
She had done solid work. I think Cher was more the person.
This is what it refers. How much area? We'll get into it, but I feel like Cher is really a good actress. Like she's shockingly good. When you think about other ones like Madonna, people like that who just can't remotely
mention.
I think what's notable about this is they're all 3 good, and Kurt Russell is coming off of mostly action movies and things, right? At this point,
and Disney, right?
Disney
all the
movies.
Disney stuff,
Disney. So it's got. I think he's, what is this? 1983. So Snake Plissken and
the thing had been the year before,
So he's played some a couple of badass guys before the computer wore tennis shoes or whatever.
He wasn't a badass,
but the cast list alone for this movie is kind of worth it. I mean, not just the 3 leads, but there's a lot.
You got all kinds of people and little roles by people that Will Patton and stuff that you see him come.
Yep.
Although I swear it looks like Emmett Walsh has always been the same age. Like
he's always been old.
He never changed.
So Daryl,
yes.
When did you see Silkwood?
I saw this on cable probably in the 90s.
Oh, really?
Or something. Yeah, I think I didn't see it in the movies. I know I didn't.
See, I'm shocked because I feel like this would be one of those that your mom would have dragged you to or something. And
no, I think I saw it because of her though, because she put it on, like she turned it on, and I, was in the house. They didn't care about us kids when they turned things on. So
no kidding. That's how I saw it too.
And then eventually I watched it on my own. After seeing it, it was interesting. I think I think I saw the ending before I saw the whole movie. When I walked, I think I came in to say something to her, and that part was when the car.
Yeah, you saw a car accident.
The lights are behind the car.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then she's singing, and that's what I saw. And I was like, what? What's up with this? And then that's when I watched it from the beginning and saw the whole movie.
Also, as much as it's shocking that Cher is a great actress, it's always shocking to me what a good singer Meryl Streep is. Like I forget that she could sing. Yeah,
for sure.
I kind of like the fact that in this movie you cast and like Cher in it, and you have Meryl Streep sing instead.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
The smoking level in this movie.
Oh, it's off the charts. It's great.
Right? Oh, they're worried about the radiation.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to
Kurt Russell even says that. Kurt Russell's character says that to her. If you're worried about it that much, stop smoking.
Stop smoking. Yeah, no,
and she gave him that. And she gave him that look. She gave him that look like, "Shut! I didn't ask you to tell me truth."
That's the Academy Award-winning Meryl Streep look right there.
You just fucking agree with what I'm saying.
Burger shop, and they're smoking. The kids are around and everything.
Oh,
that's
how it was.
That is very 70s.
That's
back when cigarettes came in the Happy Meals, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically.
What year was it? What year? I know the movie came out in 83. What year was this supposed to be taking place? Was it the 70s?
74, I think.
74, right?
That's
Okay.
when she died. I think.
About like a decade, I felt like. I thought.
Yeah.
She died in November 13, 74.
My mother would smoke in my face while she was tying my shoe when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because
she would tie what like hanging off her lip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
And you'd be, as a child, you'd be backing up, and she's like, "Boy, what's wrong with you? Stand still."
It makes me cough. It makes me cough now just thinking about it.
Here, like, son, hold this.
I did. I used to hold. There were times where she gave me a cigarette to hold for her.
My wife was sent down to the local corner market to buy cigarettes for family
I did
members.
it every day. I did it every week.
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah. And booze.
She was like 9.
Yeah. I got.
They would sell them to her. They'd sell them to her.
Yeah,
All right. And also, side note: anybody else remember? Because this is like the thing when you wanted to sneak cigarettes. The cigarette vending machines. We had a McCrory. I think it was McCrory's, and right by the bathroom, it was like hidden away from everything. You put in like 50 cents or 75 cents, and you would pop the little thing, and out fall Marlboro Reds or whatever. They pop out, and you
condoms and cigarettes.
It'd be like department stores next to like the arcade games.
Yeah, it was like it was candy. Yeah, it was amazing.
And bars too.
Yeah. Well, bars make sense. Bars make sense to me. At the back of like where like anybody kid could get it makes no sense.
Or let me say this for old people: sandwich shops. I remember that in sandwich shops, and that's when kids go, "What the fuck are you talking about, old man?" But that's what they would call them, and they would have the cigarette machines in those shops all the time.
Yeah, Peter, are you adjusting your lighting?
He's being visited.
Yeah, what are you looking at?
No, I'm adjusting the light.
The alien invasion is going to officially start in Sweden. I feel like that
just went off.
Let's put on the form light.
Peter's.
They want to know how they procreate so much over there. That's what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Should I do it like this?
Your sperm is quite powerful.
Not anymore.
All right, Peter. When did you see this? Okay, stop adjusting lights. When did you see this movie?
Because I was thinking about this earlier.
And you need lights.
No, that maybe we rented it because again, it's Meryl Streep and Kurt Russell and Cher. So we might have rented it in the mid '80s, or I caught it on one of the channels. Yeah. I'm not sure, but we might have rented it because I seem to remember like seeing the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
so in around I don't know 84, 85, somewhere there.
Yeah. So I saw this movie for the first time last weekend, like officially. I've never seen any. Never. Well, that was why we
knew that. Darryl,
yeah, that was why you. That's why you guys wanted to do it because I said it was one I'd never seen. So
I know. I still like to judge him.
Well, I'm used to it. So I honestly, as a kid, got this mixed up all the time with Barfly.
What?
Oh wow!
I don't in my head. Like I thought they were like
that cover kind of looks like it could be the cover of something like that. That's
and wasn't there another movie with like is there like iron in the title or something? Like
Ironweed.
Yeah, is there an Ironweed too?
Yeah, there is an Ironweed.
Yeah. Okay. See, all of those like movies in my head is like an 8-year-old or whatever. I totally thought they were the same movie. I had no idea. And let's be frank, at like 7 or 8 when this came out, I would have had zero interest whatsoever in seeing this motion picture.
Yeah, I'm Silkwoods and your terms of endearment and your accused all separate.
I saw Terms of Endearment and the Accused. I saw like when I was in my teens, but Terms of Endearment I saw when I was relatively young.
That's a good one too.
But I'm glad I waited.
Yeah, I watched Kramer versus Kramer when I was young.
I lived Kramer versus Kramer, Daryl.
I saw it in the movies. I saw that shit in the movies.
I'm just kidding. My parents weren't that bad.
I know. Well, I was about to say my father didn't even want me. So.
Oh God, here we go. My parents get divorced. My dad dies, and then Daryl throws down the "I didn't even know my daddy" card.
God. He wins.
Really?
Yes,
he wins.
I was made in a tube.
Oh, I don't know which one wins. I feel like
I don't know that. I don't
know the tube thing. I feel like in a weird way, I almost feel like that is something you should be bragging about. Like, hey,
exactly.
I'm
a test tube baby.
My parents,
be modest about it. You know.
Right? Yeah, God, you know we got to do baby as kids at some point. We have to do baby as kids.
I'm a test tube baby. Yeah.
Test tube baby.
Yeah.
I was privileged because I was born in Denmark.
Yeah. But Joel, can I say this about the movie? Can I
yes,
say this?
do it.
I've forgotten how sexy this movie is.
Sexy.
Everyone is sexed up in this movie.
Yeah, there's a sexiness to it.
It is a flirty. Everybody is flirting. Everybody is sexed up.
And apparently Karen had sex with everybody.
Well, I mean, everybody was having
sex
with everybody.
It was the late 60s.
Once you're all radioactive, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. Like the lunchroom
if you glow in the dark,
scenes,
it's easier.
The lunchroom scenes are like she's just walking around.
Oh, Craig T. Nelson. Craig T. Nelson was creepy.
He was creepy, but she still was like, maybe I'll fuck him. I don't know.
Yeah.
At first.
Yeah. Until he backs her into a corner.
Right.
And he's like, you're going to assault her, aren't you? You're going to like straight up assault this woman. Yeah.
Well, when she found out, oh, you're a company man. Fuck you. I'm not doing that. That's when she's.
I want to say something right off the bat. So one of the things this movie is that it is amazing to me how few movies we get like this. I feel like we used to get, especially in this time frame, like the 70s into the 80s, which are these like working class dramas, right? Yes. Where it was like blue collar people, regular people that could relate to it, because and they go out of their way to make Meryl Streep and Cher, especially, even Kurt Russell, still got that like boyish charm he's always got, but even him, they all feel like just regular people. And it's like, and you were, I don't think we were recording yet when you made the jokes, Daryl, but obviously you got his character, because it was Oklahoma, right? Was it Oklahoma? Is that where they are, or Kentucky?
They're in Oklahoma.
Okay. And
just sit your ass down.
Whoa.
Sorry, man.
Let me tell you something. My dog is so spoiled. He's trying to prepare the blanket on the bed, on a queen size bed, in a way that is special. Like he's spinning around and I can't help but look. And he's doing this, and then he gets to the edge and one foot goes off. So I'm like, like your parent, you're like, what? Stop. And it just irritates the shit out of me.
What we're looking at right now?
I know.
Yeah.
Now he's looking at me like
what?
I didn't do anything. Like he looks so innocent. He looks so innocent right now. Look at that face. Look at that face.
That's great. That's great.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's fine. That was worth it. So I was going to say that, you know, you made a comment before we started recording about like Kurt Russell's character has like a Confederate flag he's got on his wall.
Bright.
But it's like, but here's the thing. And in that time frame, it's like, I feel like we always refer like we always look at the past through obviously the way we look at things today.
Yeah.
And at that time, like now 74 Dukes of Hazzard was, but 83 Dukes of Hazzard
I watched
was.
it.
And it was literally like, I mean, obviously it's almost like
you watched it for, Daryl.
You know, I watched it for that. I didn't like
the car, because you're a car guy. I figured it was the car, right?
No, I wanted to see Daisy Duke's ass.
I was kidding. Of course, that's what it was. No, what I was going to say though is I feel like there was a level of I know it's a weird word to use, but innocence in that there's a lot of people, especially in the South, that looked at that as like they didn't think about all of the stuff that goes around.
No. I want to stop you there.
Yeah,
because it's not just the Confederate flag. Listen, I'm not super sensitive with race stuff, right?
You're not?
I'm too old.
You're literally, I feel like I got to walk on eggshells every time around you, Daryl.
I'm too old and insensitive. I'm just not.
It's sensitive. You was going to say it's sensitive.
I am. Ask the women I've dated. Anyway, but the movie wants me to know they don't like Negroes over there. Like, the scene with the woman that Karen is supposed to be friends with, the older woman,
the wig.
When she did that scene, out of nowhere, didn't even need to happen. That scene did not fucking need to happen. But when she does the thing, because all you're supposed to know is, look, her daughter probably worked there and got cancer too, and that's the theme. That's the theme is the daughter is dying, right? That's the theme. And so, but she throws in there, and you know she's dying next to her. They put her next to a colored man out of nowhere. Yeah. My face went, what?
Yeah,
but all right, let me just throw this out. I felt like in that moment, because it's like it almost catches you off. It does. It catches you off guard.
Yeah.
And
it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
But what I'm saying, it's literally like it's so. And Mike, thinking about who directed this movie, which is Mike Nichols, and it was written by Elaine May wrote it with him, right? Like I mean, so and they usually did comedies, right? They were a comedy team before this. Is it Nora Ephron?
Nora Ephron.
Oh, is Elaine May involved, or is it just Nora Ephron? Maybe it was Nora Ephron. I may have gotten him confused.
Alice Arlen?
Okay, it's Nora Ephron. I was thinking of Elaine May because Mike Nichols and Elaine May did all
Nora
the comedy.
Ephron.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my point being is these are I feel like, and maybe I'm reading into it wrong, but when you think about the time that the movie was made and then the time that it's taking place in, that like level of just it's like ignorance. And like you don't even like it was, you know what I mean? Like that's how people were. Like I remember being around my grandmother's friends, and they would just throw out something like that. You'd be like, do you hear yourself? Like, you know, even as a kid, I remember thinking, that's a weird thing to say.
No, in real life, I've heard plenty, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
but in the movie, how it just comes out of nowhere, and like they were like, I want to make sure that we know. I want them to know that this woman is racist as fuck.
Well, yeah, but
absolutely. It's a very pointed line.
Yeah. It's a pointed line. And Meryl Streep is like, I just fucked a black guy last week. No, but she didn't say it. But she did give her a look. Like
There's a lot of stuff in this movie that seems like it's going out of its way because of they're like so afraid of it being like the goody two shoes like biopic, right?
Yep.
They really humanize these people and show them how
big time
they are.
They show her as very flirty. They show her as very like the whole scene of her in the lunchroom where she's like grabbing people's sandwiches and the one black guy. She grabbed the one black guy's sandwich and had a peanut
Bill
butter
Cobb,
jelly.
the great Bill Cobb.
Bill Cobb.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like they make a point of like having her like be around everybody. Like that's what she looked at. She just met Craig G. Nelson, right? He just started working there. She grabbed the woman. He stands over him, grabs his meat. She says, "Strange meat," right?
Yes, yeah.
Woman says that to you, you know you'd have to go home. First of all, you'd have to run away from that woman and then go home and tell your wife, I'm sorry, even though you didn't do nothing. Because that is just too much of a flirty scene.
There's already marks on it.
In public, right? So they made a point of on purpose showing you this at the beginning of the movie to give you a sense of she is kind of flirtatious, like she might cheat on her boyfriend. It's not really serious, but it is. But it's
and a whistleblower
at the very beginning. I'm not gonna lie; it wasn't until I think they finally showed them be a little bit more intimate. At first, I was like, "So is he like just her friend or her brother?" Because I didn't get Kurt Russell's character.
I just thought,
at the beginning.
At first, I even thought, is he like having sex with both of them? And like
that occurred to me too.
Because because back then in the 70s there were some, there were some of these relationships out there.
As if there's not now.
Real life Three's Company.
Well, except if Jack was having sex with everyone in the house like that. But that's the sense that they kind of give you because then they give you the information later. Like they don't tell us Cher. Yeah. They don't make a point of yelling in your face, Cher is a lesbian. Like,
you know why, Daryl? You know why? This is what this is called? Good writing. That's what this is called.
Yeah.
Hang on.
You learn it later.
I read that here. Roger Ebert.
Soapbox Corner.
Roger Ebert says about the movie, and he commented, "It's a little amazing that established movie stars like Streep, Russell, and Cher could disappear so completely into the everyday lives of these characters." Which is true, because after a while, you don't really think about who the actor. You think you see these people, and you're into their lives. You don't see
no, you don't. You see whatever. I see coworkers. I see like some of my coworkers
working
were cool
class
like that. Like
from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, Nathan, what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say I think that's what I was trying to get at the beginning. Like now. All of these people are such movie stars that it's much harder for that sheen to come off. And they're still great actors, but they don't usually are given roles where they're, even if they're disappearing into a role, it's meant to be showy. And here,
for sure.
It's specifically not showy. One of the reasons is, as far as we, the audience, know, Silkwood, she was just she's a whistleblower, but we don't know enough about her. We're not looking to see if Meryl Streep is hitting all her mannerisms and stuff like that.
Right.
There's no affectation we have to worry about, and so we just watch these people and recognize, hey, these are kind of people that we know, flaws and whatnot. And man, it helped, I think, make the movie so much more compelling because that's the big difference between the biopics I think we get now, where everything's going to be tied in a nice bow.
Because now you have to fight about rights so much that when they have control of it, like just look at the, for example, it's a good example right now. There's a movie out called Priscilla, right? It's based on Priscilla Presley's life. Now, you can't get mad for showing that he went after and married a 14-year-old girl, because he did. It's factual.
Yeah.
But yet still you have people going, oh no, you can't. It's a terrible movie. You can't show all that. And that's the problem with these biopics. Yeah. If it's the truth, it's the truth. Like nobody's trying to.
I just think it's amazing if people bitch about stuff like that. It's sort of like, so your solution is to pretend like these things that you view as a negative, right? Never happened. And that's somehow better to whitewash everything and not show it as it really
everybody's modus operandi this day. If I didn't like it, it didn't occur.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. No.
And I mean, in this one, when they're go to see her kids, and that whole awkward scene. Yeah. And she tells. And she tells Dolly on the way back that they got married, and then they really didn't get married, but they went. They were too young. They were too young, so they had to go a different place to get married. And then they told her, like, okay, so how young were you?
And what? Here's the thing, Peter. To that point, I'm actually glad you brought that up, so I didn't forget about it. Was that whole subplot? It's a very little subplot, but about her kids. Yeah. First off, I feel like, to Daryl's point earlier about with like Priscilla or any of these other movies, like modern day, where people want to put a sheen on it. I always feel like they would, if this was made today, they might try to not play up. Quite frankly, she wasn't a great mom. Sorry, she just wasn't. I think she loved her kids.
Even your kids nowadays say that because they don't really remember, because she left.
Yeah, I mean and it's unusual, right? Let's be frank. The stereotype is it's the dad. It's the dad that's not there, not the mom.
I don't think by leaving, if she left, I don't know about the real story of the kids, but in the movie, I wouldn't consider it. I wouldn't consider it being a bad mom to leave them with the father, because it would have been worse if she took them and had an unstable life.
For sure. I would say the better way I look at it as it was a much more selfless thing to let him and the wife, who seemed to love the kids, take care of it. I agree with you. But I mean, when we define like a mom as someone who legitimately like raises you, takes care of you, I feel like I think that it was laid out fairly clearly. She wasn't on the top tier.
Yeah, so she ran because they made a point in the movie where Kurt Russell's character says to her, when she says I'd had him in the car and I gotta take him, and he said to her straight up, like, why didn't you done? No,
what would you
have done with
That's
them?
right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And that's when you knew. She sat there going, I don't know, because she can't take care of these kids.
No,
she can't.
She doesn't have the money, the resources, any of that. Yeah.
The maturity to take care of these kids, and she knew she didn't. Yeah. She knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had too much.
But it was great the way they told it, because even with the mother, when she talks about how her mother's asking about her life or whatever, you could tell there's the guilt there. Mm-hmm. But I don't need to. But instead of being hit over the head with, "You're just a bad mom and you're struggling with that," whole thing.
It wasn't like that. Yeah,
there's not a lot of explanation. I found that someone wrote a comment about it. The way they kind of show the characters and their life without a lot of talking about it. Hang on. Let's see. There is one of the things that many movies are missing these days are the small details and things that happen in everyday life, and how we are able to learn about characters through small visual clues rather than the large hammer of exposition-driven dialogue.
Yeah.
For instance, and I recognized that when I watched this movie, in the scene where the characters are looking at the slides of the trip to Washington, and I noticed it this time around because I'm older. Towards the end are two photos with Streep and Ron Silver's character.
Right.
In the second photo, she leans into him a little bit.
Yep.
That tiny bit of body language makes us wonder, and Kurt Russell's character too. He suddenly moves his arm.
Yes. Peter, real quick, I want to inject into that. That was actually, I'm glad you reminded me of that one too, because that was literally my favorite scene of the movie, because not a word is spoken. Other things are being talked about the trip, but they hold on this shot of her in the foreground and Kurt Russell just behind her. And you could see her eyes, like that feeling you'd have if you know somebody behind you is probably like looking daggers at you.
Right.
And she's got that like, oh crap, oh
Yeah,
god.
because she notices when
and
the
he's got that
removed,
little, very subtle, and it's not a word is said, and it's all there. It's all there.
But they set it up well.
It is chef's kiss.
They set it up well in the beginning that she has issues with commitment, right? When she's in the kitchen and she comes out and he sits with her and he goes, "Are you tired of this?" Like he tries to say, you know, you want to have, he's pretty much hitting you want to fuck, right? And she's giving him the look, and she doesn't say she does or not. And he looks at her and he asks, "Are you tired of this now?" That's all you need to know. She's not really, like she's had issues with committing to him and other people, just committing in relationships. Period. That's all you needed.
Yeah, Nathan, go ahead.
Oh, it's a really smart and organic way, obviously, to do what they would do in another movie, which is why she's the whistleblower. So of course, there's got to be some really great, like high vaunted, philanthropic reason that she's doing all this. Right. It's heroic, and yet, through all the things that they sort of weave throughout the film, you realize that part of this is finally at some point she's got to commit to something, and so the wake of things that she's left in her path, this is sort of her stand. She's taking this stand partially because of all these other things that have fallen by the wayside, and then everything is in flux. And here's one area that she can kind of strike out at it, even though it doesn't require her to make any sort of like she puts her life in danger, but she already realizes her life is in danger through the practices at work. But she doesn't have to make any sort of personal decisions the same way. I'm going to take the kids. I can have the kids. What am I going to do with the kids? She can kind of put herself out there, and there's nothing that she has to do personally. The person-to-person stuff is what's interesting. I think also these movies are now made where when we make them in the biopic drama genre, and that's it. And we don't consider the styles and tones of different dramas, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Silkwood where, as you pointed out earlier, it could almost be like more of a like psychological drama. It could be a three-hander with them in that apartment. It could involve these other characters without even getting to the sort of like whistleblower and potential retaliation and the thriller aspect.
Right.
It's kind of interesting that there are points of this movie where they feel the tension isn't coming from just the thriller, or is she going to be killed, but is their relationship going to completely disintegrate? What's going to happen? There's tension at like every level of the film.
On top of Cher being in love with her too. Like,
so there's also this. What's going to happen? One of these things, one or all these things is going to transpire.
Yeah, and also the fact that all of these are working class people working from paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
There's also the potential that someone is going to rat out on her because no one really likes her, because she potentially could get them losing their jobs. And even though they know it's dangerous, it's still a paycheck. They have to pay bills.
That's why when you talk about it, and even in what it's based on, and they're like, there are reporters and stuff that are saying, that investigated that are saying the company probably didn't murder her because they wouldn't even have to, because the workers would do it. Right. Because this is like the biggest job in that town, in that area. And so it was like, all you got to do is just push a couple of people who feel very threatened by losing that job. Yeah. And they would be the ones to intimidate her.
Well,
you wouldn't even have to do it.
To that point, Daryl, the fact that we have that meeting with the union, remember, where she comes in late, and it's like, it's that idea of when the management and the bosses and the corporation, in this case, they really will only need a handful of people to go against her. But if you could keep your workers kind of at each other a little bit, then they're less able to focus that attention and energy on the people in charge, who, quite frankly, are putting all these people's lives and their families' lives and their community
direction, like a good comedian.
Because you can't see the great. You can't see the road. You can't see down the road when every day check to check. If I lose a check, I am messed up. I am fucked if I lose a check. And again, it goes to the kids too. Like, how can this woman be? Because I know there are people that are just so hard on women that make choices about not raising their kids, right, or not wanting kids, right, and they do this thing of, I know that that you would hear it, that you could hear it in the audience, where there are people like, oh, she's terrible for not wanting to raise her kids, but when you're working those jobs day to day, and it wears you down, you were tired by the time you were done. She's got the guilt; it's there in the movie.
Yeah.
But you don't have time to sit there and wallow in it because you are working. She's doing double shifts. Everyone wants overtime. They need
right. What happens in 20 years? If I die of radiation poisoning in 20 years or 10 years, it doesn't matter because I was able to pay rent at the end.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. And also that idea of I was going up to a specific place with that and I completely lost it. So I will come back to that.
Okay. All right.
Continue. I literally had a senior moment. I had a senior moment. I'm sorry. Brain fart. Continue.
Seemed like it was going to be epic.
Yeah, I know. In my head it was, and then it trailed off. Yeah. Sorry about that.
And the choices that they make in the movie not to go heavy into because somebody did try to pour.
I know what it was.
Oh, go ahead.
You help. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You helped me with the heavy comment, the judgment aspect. Just the way I feel like it. I feel like with movies like this in that time frame, when we oftentimes, and I hate when people do the whole you couldn't make that today. Yes, you could.
You can.
You can. You can make any kind of movie you want. There might be blowback, and you might have to listen to a bunch of idiots online, but you can do whatever you want to do. Right? Still, technically, theoretically, free country. That aside, it's the artistic lack of judgment. There is I do not feel like the people making the movie or the actors themselves are judging these people for bad or good. They're not fetishizing the working class. Oh my God, we've got to support them. Exactly. They're also not saying, well, these are bad people. Like, I think it was, I read an interview or it was more of like a clip of an interview with Anthony Hopkins. They were talking about different characters and how the great actors don't judge them no matter what. And Anthony Hopkins played Nixon.
Because you're not going to play it right if you do.
No, exactly. Because guess what? We might put ourselves down. We might be insecure. We might have problems. But nobody sees themselves as the bad guy ever.
Not unless you've been married a long time.
Okay. And then you just know you are because you get told. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. Right. You're told.
All right. So
again, none of these characters in this movie, none of them are really likable. They all have flaws.
But they're relatable. But they're relatable.
You don't like
They're not all good people, but I think we like them.
But what does that even mean? What does that mean, good or bad, right? It's like, to whom? Yeah. Like to what person? Like, it's like you said, Daryl, it's good that she didn't put her kids through that, where somebody else would be like, how could she do that to her kids? Exactly. It's all about, so it's that's the key. Right. Great art to me is, yes, you have a perspective, but you don't. There's a difference between that and judging it as either bad or good. It's like you've got to go in with this like very open mind. It's very difficult to do, right? To set your own crap aside.
When you're working class, and I know it, I work at an office job. When you're working class like that, you are there are days you're just trying to make it through the end of the week. Me and Peter understand that.
Okay, like, and before Daryl does his usual diatribe about how I don't understand that, the vast majority of my working life, I did. So kiss my butt.
Well, that's when you only had one house instead of the three.
No, I still only have one. And the fact it says a guy sitting in a friggin' video store in his house. The point is that I was so desperate to honestly do anything to not have to do that anymore because I hated doing paycheck to paycheck so much. I worked minimum wage. I've done it all. And it's a construction, all of it. And it is not easy. And you forget. It's funny when you're away from it, though. When you are away from it, it's very easy to allow yourself to forget what that life is like. Yeah. When you don't have the potential for something else, when you don't have something else you're reaching for, it could be soul crushing.
Yeah, and which is why when they do have time, yes, they do drink. Like when they have these jobs,
and smoke incessantly.
I've gone out,
dump beer on your own head because you've been out working in the yard.
We go out and we drink and we decompress and we have to do these things. Joel does it. He can stay home all day with his kids, with his wife, and have a happy life. But the rest of us, we have to go out and try to deal with the tragedy of having to work all day. on a
that's
job.
That's also why you understand these characters in the movie.
Yes.
At the end, you kind of get the feeling that Dolly, even though she loves Meryl Streep's character, Karen, when they're sitting on the plane and she asked, who did they find? Did you tell them about the X-rays? And the way that Cher's character is looking out the window, not really wanting to face. I mean, they got to her too, probably, because again, she's
but they never say. But they never say it. They don't tell you.
No, exactly. Which is I mean, which is why it works.
They got to her enough, or she was pressured enough to be scared enough not to
of losing her job. Yeah, she doesn't want to lose her job.
Because she didn't participate in, the invest, like trying to protest,
whistleblowing,
and whistleblowing. No, but that whole trip, it was like a vacation for them because they'd never been out of that town like that. Like that. Yeah, they made a point of saying they were paid. This trip was paid for them. So this was like. Yeah. Just that alone was an amazing thing for them, where Drew was like, I just want to take care of you and I can't afford it. Like, it's something for a man. It's for a man's psyche, because we are told you were supposed to be the breadwinner, right? For
having a sugar mama would be nice.
I would take a sugar mama in a heartbeat. You could pay for me.
I was gonna make a bad joke. Continue.
We know.
So anyway. In the movie, they make a point in the beginning where he looks at her and he says to her, I wish that I could take care of you. Like, there is something that does that to your psyche when there's a woman that you love who's tired from working all these hours, and you know that you can't take that away from her. You can't take that burden away from her because you can't afford it. You don't have the job to afford it. And it goes, and when he comes back, and he looks at her and he's trying to say to her, like, I think he wanted to even text, like, why don't we just stay here? Like, why don't we try to just leave that town and try to make a life somewhere else instead of doing all this fighting, instead of doing the whistleblowing? Like, why don't we just do this? Because it's so much easier. Like, it's all of that is just a burden. To do that all over again. And it's just little things like that where you get the stress.
Well, that's what the movie's
going through.
Spend so much time setting up is the fact that here are all the impediments and all the reasons why a logically thinking person wouldn't. This is why people don't stand up. This is why people don't take on, quote unquote, the man. Easy. And they stand up for themselves and their fellow people, because it's not about ideologically right or wrong per se. It's not that these people don't want to do it. It's look at all the impediments, all the reasons why you shouldn't. And
I don't want to be homeless. I want to eat.
I don't want to be killed. Right.
Yeah. Or I don't want to be killed. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to
be killed. And the film, it's interesting for this film to end with, like, it's not like, look at all she achieved, but it's like, look, this is what happens to you when you stand up. Like, you defied all those other reasons to keep you down. You did something that could be considered heroic, and this is what it happens in the real world.
Yeah, it's almost, the ending is almost anticlimactic. I mean, you know it's coming if you know the story.
Totally is.
But it's very like, oh, and she's dead. It's just very
it's that footnote stuff. That's like,
yeah, it's very.
That's just how it happened. I mean, it's just that sad. Like when you do something like that, you blow the whistle. You testify against whatever or whatever. When you do that stuff in real life, that whole shit where they tell you on TV and in movies, oh yeah, we'll protect you.
Yeah,
we got you. We're protect. Yeah. No, that is bullshit. Nope.
And I want to just circle back to Dolly, the Cher character, real quick. I will say Cher, again, a freaking, I think a fantastic actress in her own right. I mean, I've seen her in other things, but in this, it was, especially when you realize is this not the first major role aside from the Sonny and Cher show or something in Scooby-Doo
I think that's the one for
because this is a year or two before Mask, right?
It is. Mask is 85.
Moonstruck and all
that. So it's like the beginning, and it's like number one in 1983 for Cher, who at this point has been this superstar pop star, right? And for her to play. Where she's playing a gay character, so right off the bat, and she's completely like not remotely made up. Like I think, and I agree with some friends of mine who made the point, like calling actors and performances brave. It's like, okay, dude, you didn't run into a house that's on fire. Okay, let's go.
No.
But I will say, from a career perspective, for her in 1983,
choices.
Right.
Is that a better word?
It was a bold choice, and I think that what I love though is that it's part of who she is. But it's not all that she is. And I love that all the characters around her, it would have been very easy to play up like the homophobia and all that, which I feel like if it was made now, that's what they would do. But both Drew and Karen are like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
We got when they're talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't mind. And
I'll even give you this. Even with him having nowadays, you would say someone with a Confederate flag, if they had that stuff, that they would have all evil, right?
Yeah, yes, that's what they would do.
Even with that had happened, like having the Confederate flag or whatever, he's the one that made a point of saying, I don't have a problem with it. Like when they kind of hit them that, oh yeah, she's gay.
Yeah.
Oh,
then why are we having this conversation?
Yeah. But they're trying to like talk through it.
But again, they don't. It's not everything's on the nose. They don't have this in-depth conversation about what it all means. It's just like it's kind of a couple lines here and there, and they're like, yeah.
Because
okay, cool.
You know why? Because it's harder to hate somebody when you're friends with them already.
Right. Yeah, it really is.
When you have all my relatives, you could the before and after of I changed my mind on. Homosexuality. Why did it happen? When a person in their family or a good friend, because you're right. But I think that Mike Newell making this movie, he's very specific about achieving that because it's a cognitive dissonance. It's like you're right. They're doing something they're not even having a second thought about with the Confederate flags on the wall and the and that like just very casual way of discussing these things because it's not on the forefront of their minds. They're not having to confront the right or wrongness of it until they've got a person in front of them. That's why that's the great thing about hate. It wants you to stay away from the people that you demonize, and if you don't get close to them, you never know they're not demons.
That's why they want it. It's like, wait, you mean gay people don't grow horns and they don't come and try to take your souls?
But I also think there's also
not every night. No.
But there's something to be there. But there's something to be said. There's something to be said for giving grace to people to realize that they can learn and that people can figure it out.
Sure.
And people just because I think to the point, like that earlier thing about Esther, like she's a woman who's never left that town. Was it Thelma? I thought it was Esther.
Yeah, it was Thelma. No, I looked it up. It was Thelma.
Okay. Sorry, whatever. The old lady who said the thing
about the wing lady.
Yeah, her. When she makes that comment about her daughter dying next to a quote unquote colored man or colored person, the fact that she says it, and keeping in mind too, like in that time, again, the early 70s, that phrase does although I do always find it hilarious now, people could say people of color, like somehow turning it into a preposition is okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah, isn't that weird though? Isn't that doesn't that strike you as a little weird that it's not okay to say colored people, but you can say people of color. It's like, it's kind of the same thing. Sorry, it is. But anyway,
I just call them the blacks.
Yeah. But I love you, Daryl. So the point is, though, I love that in this movie, there's a moment where Dolly, the Cher character, her connection with Drew, it's like the sister brother thing. Yeah. And apparently, I guess in real life, they actually kind of had that dynamic together on the set. And there's a moment when he comes back. And he's been in bed. And it is the sweetest, most sincere. It felt, honest to God, like that was a behind the scenes footage of them just as friends, and they just happened to capture it. It was so real.
She jumped into bed on top of him. You're back, Drew. Tell me you're back.
Yeah, it was the most sweet moment. It was great, and that's the kind of crap that people it's almost like you want to show this movie to like modern day storytellers, especially for dramas, and be like, this is how you let people develop and you let stories breathe. Like there's moments in this movie where we talked about the shot earlier where Meryl Streep's in the foreground and Kurt Russell's in the background, and that you're seeing their facial reactions to what's happening with the slides. But later on, there's a moment where Dolly and her girlfriend Angela, right? I think it was Angela, and they're sitting on the porch, and there's this, and I think it's Kurt Russell's character is out there chopping wood, and it's like if you pay, there's a couple of different angles, but for the most part, they just let the actors play the scene, and like that's we don't need to cut close up, mid shot, close up, overshot. It's just Let them play the freaking scene. It's not. It's not a play. It doesn't feel like a play. It just feels like you're watching real life, and
but
it's
that's
so
what I love.
Wonderful.
It went like a nice friendship. Like when they fought with each other.
Yeah,
it was such a genuine thing when she's like,
yes,
because Dolly's pretty much saying, yeah, Karen, if you ain't fucking up, Drew would still be here. You're the one that fucked this up.
And he was an a-hole. Like there was times he was an a-hole.
Right. There were times he was an a-hole.
Yeah.
But you know what? But when you're friends like that, you're able to be like, fuck you. And then you go, I love you, and you go, fuck you again. Yeah. And then you're friends, right? You made up, right?
Yes. Because you know who they are inside. And that's what matters. Yes.
Because we have bad days, right? Yes. When you're living with somebody, you have a bad fucking day and you lash.
Imagine if you lived with me, Daryl. How many bad days would we have?
Oh, I would say fuck you. Like probably
every morning. Every morning. Here's your coffee. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I probably
says that on the mug. So he doesn't have to
on the mug. Yeah, that's what it would be. You just set it down. Coffee
you just hold it up and it says "fuck you."
Or when the coffee cup gets warm, then the words
it's one of those where the words appear.
Yes.
The words appear.
I have said memes while I've been home there are memes of videos where someone just runs up to the screen and they put their middle finger up.
Yeah.
And I have sent that to friends
we know you have, Daryl. Daryl, you were the friend.
Guys.
Because that's how you roll. Because when they're friends, you have shorthand like that. So when their characters are yelling at each other and Karen's trying to be like, he left because of you. And it's like, nah, son. He likes me. He left because you fucked that dude. But they didn't have to say that.
No, they didn't say it. But we knew it. Nathan, go ahead.
We knew it. Yeah.
And this movie is just another good I think it does reinforce one idea. Mike Nichols is a director. It helps when you come to a project and you've had a lot of different experience in lots of different entertainment formats. And for example, he did the comedy stuff. He's done that sort of thing.
TV, right? A lot of TV.
Right.
Do a lot of TV.
And also
put a lot of stage stuff. Yeah, and a lot of Broadway stuff. And I think that
I'm triggered.
Sensibility. That stage sensibility is what really works here. We're talking about it's the position of the characters in relation to each other and visually relatable to how the audience sees them. And then like you said, just letting them play the scene. And so you've got a director that understands that the movie isn't just like his singular vision. It's got to be nested in a way that these people that you paid a lot of money to have can do their thing.
Yeah,
How many times do we see all three of these actors in movies since then, and where they were hired, but they didn't really get their money's worth? Like they didn't, there's plenty of movies, even Meryl Streep, you get her and you're like, oh, you just wanted her here for her name. You didn't clear the path so she could work.
Yeah. You didn't let them cook.
Daryl, real quick, Daryl, did you turn the light off or something?
No, it's called the sun is going down.
It looks like one of those UFO abduction videos where the person is like,
I know.
Time change is that fast now. With the fucking time change.
Seriously, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I didn't have a light on it. Just
I am in a room with no window, so I didn't realize it was already getting that dark out.
Yeah. It's time for breakfast dinner.
Over here.
Yes, it's almost time for breakfast dinner.
Joel's bathed in neon. He doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly. Yes. And his ivory tower.
Yes, my ivory. I'm surprised you can understand me with that. I'm surprised you guys can understand a word I say with the silver spoon in my mouth. It is amazing.
I know. True.
All right, so
there's a gag joke in there, but
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I think the important question of the hour, though, is Nathan, did this movie that you've never seen before really hold up for you?
Well, since it wasn't about giant spiders or slowly dying of nuke fallout, it held up pretty well. All things considered, I was really impressed with it, and it made me nostalgic for that time when these sorts of dramas were actually fully rounded motion pictures, when they had more than one identity. They happened to be about a whistleblower. It wasn't a film that was solely focused on whistleblowers.
Yes. That's a great way of putting it. And I will say, I haven't seen it yet. Have any of you seen or heard of The Holdover with Paul Giamatti? It just came out.
Oh, that is on my must-see list.
I've heard many things.
I am hearing good things, and I'm hearing it's got that 70s aesthetic in that they occasionally do establishing longer shots, and they hold the take, and it's not just mid shot, like you're just filming it if it's gonna be on somebody's phone. You're actually trying to create
right?
What's that?
Alexander
yes, I think it is.
He's another one. He's very much in the Mike Nichols school of let's get these people together. Let's give them a very realistic thread to weave and let them go.
Yeah.
Because Mike Nichols also did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah, and The Graduate.
The Graduate.
Exactly.
And Wolf.
And
Jack
Wolf,
Nicholson.
a horror film.
Too,
But Wolf has that same quality.
Yeah, I like Wolf. We covered that a few years ago. It's a good movie.
Because I think that's what Martin Scorsese, for example, because it's in my mind right now because the movies just came out, is trying to say about these big superhero kind of movies. Is like even when you get big name actors, you don't use them.
Yeah.
And it's like they're bored. Like you can see them being bored. It's like you let them cook. Like you can do it, but you don't.
You get excited because Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be Doctor Strange, but I mean, he's
not.
The CGI is the star, not him.
Well, I think Tarantino said the stars are the actual characters, and so
and that too.
You find people that look
actually
like
Anthony
them.
Mackie. Have you ever seen that interview with Anthony Mackie talking about That's the guy who plays Falcon, right? And now the new Captain America. So
he's the Negro Captain America.
Yeah. I actually heard somebody call it. Was it Blackton America?
Blackton?
I like that.
I think that's what I heard somebody say. But anyway, that aside,
he's always late for justice. I did the joke. I'm black. I can do the joke.
I know. So the thing is that he did an interview where I saw him specifically talk about how they are not movie stars. Like he included himself, that the Falcon is the movie star.
Right.
Iron Man. Although I would say Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. is kind of a movie star.
Well,
but
out of the bunch, he's the one. Right.
Good news for the MCU, despite the Marvel's weekend that I've heard. They'll bring Robert Downey Jr. back and all will be saved. Good news, kids. It'll all be okay.
Sure. Well,
remember what a thing it was to cast him in the first place?
Like, the
reason we all thought it was good casting is because he was drunk and so was Iron Man. I mean, how little that
Well, what was great, I mean, they forget about it because the character they had cast, it was supposed to be an addict, and they just Disney-fied that away, but that's why it fit.
But imagine that
knew how to play an ad.
I think that's why Jon Favreau wanted him. I think that's why Favreau wanted him. Yeah, for sure.
You will believe a man can drink. Yeah.
Right. But I think the problem is now you see the example of this. Like even with the Marvels is a good example of this because it's recent, where even with the promotion and you have an actress in it who won an Academy Award or whatever for The Room. She's so muted because it's not about her. When people don't like the character, it doesn't matter.
I think she has not done herself a lot of favors. Now lately she's been like less let's say vocal about certain things, but I think there is a level of responsibility, although I don't put it all on her. I put a lot of it on the people who
I go with the middle. Not the ones who are like, because there are more people that don't even know what the hell she said, right? From the people around me that are not super fans, they just go to see a movie if they like it or not.
Sure, I get the normies, I believe is what they're called there.
They go by, they're like, I don't know this character. The characters just didn't sing to me. Like I don't know them. They didn't appeal to me. It just didn't work.
And all things aside, Brie Larson is a better actress than what she's been given to do in Miss Marvel.
She's picked some bad stuff.
I like Captain Marvel. I'm in the minority here.
You are in the minority, my friend.
I didn't entirely dislike it, but it was those movies where I sat there and thought, why are these people here? Why? Short Term 12, which was before The Room, was a great film, and she had the opportunity to emote and do the kinds of stuff that the people in Silkwood are doing. They just aren't making that sort of movie, and we haven't seen a Marvel movie that has been that kind of movie. And I think the issue is we all know you could make a superhero themed film and give it real human dynamics.
I would say, what about Logan? Does Logan come close? I feel like Logan.
I think that some of the Batman movies do.
But that's DC. I'm thinking Marvel. So
Marvel.
So I'm thinking Logan.
Well,
if I'm thinking Marvel,
I'll give you this. Tom Hiddleston is such a good actor that even though Loki season 2 is not, some of the episodes are not written that well. he does such a good job in it.
Yeah, and I
That
think
it
that's why some of the
transcends
TV shows work better, not because they're better made, but they give enough room that they're not just sound bites. Like he and Owen Wilson get to have chemistry together
because they transcends the material that they're doing.
Well, I will say, as the resident normie when it comes to comic book, all of that stuff, they unfortunately have, and I don't feel like I'm alone in this. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I have the worst thing, which is utter apathy.
Which is where people are at.
I don't care about any of it. Like, you could tell me tomorrow,
where people are at.
Robert Downey Jr. was coming back. I've heard that rumor going around, right? If he came back, there'd be a half a second I'd go, oh, that's cool. And then I would forget about it. I wouldn't care. Yeah. I don't care. Anything for me with Endgame, I'm done. I'm out. Slap. Boom. Done.
But I think that's the problem when we need more movies where you let these actors cook like this, so that it does make you look and go, I got to see that. Like that's like the killer. What is it? I think
did you just say he's talking about Silkwood, not Shang-Chi? Peter,
you shut your goddamn mouth. No, the Michael Fassbender.
You're talking about the new
the killer. The killer. I watched it last night.
It's good. Yeah,
it's good. I would say it's a little deceptive from the trailer because it's exceedingly slow. There's an awesome fight scene.
I knew it was slow.
Nature of it.
Right. Yeah. I knew Fincher, so I knew it's going to be slow.
Yes.
Zodiac is a slow.
I found Zodiac. I liked The Killer. It was gorgeous. It was a beautifully shot movie.
Silkwood is a slow movie.
And The Killer ends up in my hometown, which is cool, St. Pete.
Of course.
And in that scene has the best fight scene I've seen since a John Wick movie. That fight scene was brutal. That was awesome. But
it was worse than when Craig T. Nelson got sucker punched in this one.
A little worse than that.
Oh, I forgot to mention. I fucking loved how Kurt Russell punches this dude, and I knew he was going to do it.
Him, he like kind of
that looked. You know what? That looked real. That's exactly how it played.
So real. It was so realistic
because
he jetted. Because you're not going to stay.
He ran away.
You ain't listen. You're not skilled in martial art. Everybody ain't skilled in all this martial art.
And Craig T. Nelson's a big dude.
That's a big guy. Dude.
Yeah.
So smart thing is
it'd be like if I punch Peter in the head, if I sucker punch Peter in the ear, I would.
You'd have to calm down first.
No.
I'd get down the ladder. And then I'd catch my breath, and then I'd run. Yeah.
Even the little extra part where he rolls up the window.
Yeah.
A little bit of distance.
That was realistic.
That was so realistic. It was so realistic.
It not draws attention to itself other than it simply happens. You know,
it just happens.
There's no musical sting. There's no
none of that.
Because in any other movie, it would have been like a real fist fight or a real hit, but he kind of it's
because in real life, and we've all been in fights, right? We've all been in real fights. They
don't
last that long. They don't last that long.
No,
they're not like They Live. You're not going to have time.
No.
7 minutes.
Hit a guy 7 times.
No, that's not.
Yeah, most of the time you don't hit it right either. It's not
final thing I will say about The Killer that I did love was the writing, in that it gives the audience credit to just let you figure stuff.
That's how he does it.
Yeah, it's just let you figure it out. It's all there.
Because Fincher don't give a fuck.
Oh, I know.
You don't.
I love it. That's on you, boy. That's on you.
You don't get it.
That's on you.
It doesn't matter. And if it fails, it fails. But this is what I'm doing, and it's just the way it is. That's 100%. What I like.
All right, so Daryl, does this hold up for you? Peter, what?
Yeah. What?
Peter,
I just want to run, because we talked about this at the cast list. I don't want to talk about them. I just want to kind of go through, because we missed some of the big ones.
Oh, like the Water Boy.
Know back in
Fred Ward was it?
You have you have the three first: Meryl Streep, Kurt Russell, and Cher.
Sure.
Then you have Craig T. Nelson, Diana Scarwood, who played Angela, also
David
a great actress.
Yeah.
Fred Ward, Ron Silver, Charles Hallahan, Bruce McGill. David Stratham. Where is he? And he was that long.
Richard Hamilton. Richard Hamilton.
Also,
hold on. Walsh, James Redhorn, and Bill Cobbs. We mentioned, and Will Patton.
Will Patton. Yes, Will Patton. Yeah, Will Patton. Yep.
And there are others that you recognize, but this cast list alone is just
it's worth the price of admission.
The talent is insane. The talent is insane.
And even back then, even though some of them weren't as big as they are now, it is. It's an amazing cast list.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah. All right. So Peter, I have
Is
a
this going
feeling
to be a stupid question?
I feel like it's a very stupid question because I have a feeling it's going to surprise all of us when you say it doesn't really for you. But does this movie hold up?
How the hell am I going to say that after all of this? No, it is. It is still a 10. I mean, it is because I haven't seen this in a long time because this is not a movie you go back to every year or so.
Put it on a weekend, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you can't find it. It ain't
unless
he has the VHS.
Yeah.
I was look for this thing. I almost had to end up. I think I ended up in front of my TV. I had to do a little bit of bloodletting and then burn a copy of She-Devil just to get it to show up.
Exactly.
She-Devil. Oh, that's a classic.
No, it is
Meryl.
Fabulous movie that is amazing.
Yeah. I will say that for me, I am very thankful we covered this. This is one of those where I'm really. You were right, you guys. I was wrong.
I know,
but actually, I wasn't because if I
you haven't really said anything about it.
And I was wrong in the. I would have been wrong to have seen this as a kid because there is no way I would have appreciated this movie like I do now.
Yeah,
zero chance. It's not a kid's movie. I don't mean that just subject matter. I mean you need to have some life experience to appreciate this.
I am thankful for my mother and the movies that she watched because I wouldn't have. Because there are people now that have come up after us who look at movies and they're just so bland and they're like, "Oh, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen." Like, and it's just you're sitting there going, "What? There's no character development. There's no journey. Like, what are you
if you want something
about?
Even close to this?" And I think this is sad that this would be close. It's like an Aaron Brockovich is what your people, and they still have to go back some years.
You gotta go back. It's rough. It's like what? Like it's so sad that people want to be catered to so much to enjoy.
But I got a question, Daryl, and I think obviously there's always gonna be some people that do, but I feel like there's an assumption that that's what all people want. But here we are, 4 people.
No, it's not.
I think there's a lot of people that would just go and drag because it happens, right? Every once in a while, we get a movie that they say, "Oh, won't do well," blah blah. But it's a lot of it comes down to marketing and stuff like that. But if it gets in front of enough people and word of mouth spreads about it, it'll blow up.
You know what it is? It's most of us are just regular people that we either go see something or we don't, right? We don't go online and talk about it. We don't make a big deal about it. We just either go see it or not. And so that's why there's been so many surprises where people are throwing up this okey doke. And then people are like, I just won't go see it. Or, like they throw something on streaming and they just don't watch it or whatever. And that's people saying, the majority, that's the regular people that are saying, who are not influencers, who are not, like they're not someone that's online 24/7. They just watch it or don't. And that's the thing that they're not connecting with. Sometimes they do, but
I blame. I blame their parents. All right. So, and by the way, what?
No,
Peter?
I just want to say this is a movie like for people, and I'm not saying all people, but a lot of people who don't have the attention span will probably not watch this one because the first hour or so is basically just building up, and then.
As one who actually has ADD, I will tell you that attention span thing is BS. And here's why. Because how the hell can Oppenheimer, a 3-hour plus biopic that I liked, but is like it's basically people sitting and talking for 3 hours and it made over $500 million. So my ass, a movie.
My argument is that people are more potent, at least in terms of being able to sit through it and be entertained by it. I think they're more primed to like that now because that argument you're right. That argument doesn't make sense anymore because on television they watch hours and hours of people.
Yes, they'll binge.
There is that. Well, you know what? I take it back.
It's the excuse they use. It's the excuse they use.
It's what people. The median crap like pushes all that idea. I think it's bullshit. Sorry, I think it's
because they only think in franchise terms. You can't make a movie like this. Expect only telling. That's the problem now. What's the big issue? To me, I look at all these movies. We tell 1/3 of the story and tell you that 2 more are coming in 8, 9, 10 years. Like, what about back in the day when I could get 3 movies in one for the 2 hours?
You want to know what turned me off of the new Exorcist movie faster than all the crap I've heard about it since, and I still haven't seen it? is when the following phrase was uttered: "It's going to be a trilogy." No, don't do a trilogy. Tell a self-contained story. Exorcist was made. and they didn't know there would ever be a sequel. You know what
George Lucas saying there were going to be 9 movies from the
the a question
he said
you should
that
always
after.
ask yourself
I know.
when you're going to do these things is, if this were the first one, would anyone come back to watch it again?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with the franchise stuff. They immediately go in and they try to make a subpar product without realizing it. If this had been movie 1, if Phantom Menace had been movie 1, if Exorcist Believer had been movie 1, there wouldn't be any franchise.
That is the most ridiculous argument. I've heard people say that thing. Well, that's just because, you grew up with the other one and this newer version. It's like, no, you literally, even though obviously movies are extremely subjective, and I grant you that, but by and large, a lot of the reboots, remakes, if that was, to your point, Nathan, movie 1, these would not be the movie was a classic because they had nothing to build upon. They were the ones who stepped out into the void. Nobody knew Texas Chainsaw Massacre was Texas Chainsaw Massacre until it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Nobody knew that Night of the Living Dead was that. No one knew Halloween was that. How many? For God's sakes, George Lucas went to an island, which, I mean, that's a nice problem to have, right? You go off to an island.
But I feel for him.
Opening weekend of Star Wars. Why? Because his career was over. That's called.
They didn't have enough toys. They were giving out pictures of the toys because no one anticipated.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So that's the difference between them and the ones now. The ones now, they're standing on the shoulders of all of those people who had the effing balls to take a chance.
Down their back.
And then pissing down their back or taking a big dump on their head. I'm off my soapbox. And Daryl, I feel like I am watching like an episode of like America's Most Wanted or something.
I'm watching Skinamarink right now.
Yeah, you are. Every once in a while, we get the gleam off of your glasses. So I feel I see your hand. I see a hand. Literally, this is like.
Wait. Can I do here's a really dark joke.
No,
Daryl?
please don't. No, wait.
Do it.
Okay.
Smile.
You is kind. You is special. You is
Daryl proving.
Right
hold on. Right here in real time, Daryl defying and proving certain stereotypes and bad jokes are lies. There you go, Daryl. Because he smiled and we still saw
a jump scare, a legitimate jump scare.
Yeah, that was a legitimate jump scare.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, and by the way, proving that I do have OCD is why in the hell do I use this? Does it? You can tell by the end of an episode whether we liked something or not. It's so dumb. I don't know why I do that. All right,
none of us are good enough.
Yeah, this is all on you. I
to keep that notion up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep it vague. All right, Nathan. Thank you for being here. Any final thoughts? Any things you about this movie you wanted to touch on that we didn't already? Actually, we stayed pretty good. Other than the Marvel sidetrack there for a second,
we earned it by that point.
Yeah, that's true. We did pretty good, I think. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Nathan, for being here. You want to tell anybody where they can find you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can find me over at Phantom Galaxy, where I'm there with Bill Van Vagel, and lots of people come in and out of that show. And then I'm also part of co-host over at Horror Movie Podcast now. And
I think I've heard of that show before.
Yeah, right. They used to have some other people on there.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, well, one of the guy came on later. Total ass clown. That's why I never bothered with it.
Yeah.
But you can find me over there regularly with Trey Whetstone and Victor Rodriguez and Matt Rawlings and Jackson Rawlings are on there as well from time to time when they can join. So check us out over there.
Sweet. And I don't know. I don't know if we should tease out the thing that I couldn't be a part of because I
think
was
we can because we're
all right. Nathan, tease out the thing.
Yeah. So we do have a Horror Movie Podcast at the very end of October, like the 24th or something like that, hit 10 years of being a podcast.
Wow.
I obviously have not been on it except for the last 5 or 6 months, but a lot of people have been there. A lot of great episodes, and the episode that's coming up, it's gonna it's bringing the gang back together. It's not quite the end game, Joel, but it's all the people that you want to hear.
I legit feel bad because we got a lot of people from the OG HMP, the new HMP, and I was supposed to be there. And long story short, 2 of my kids were sick. I was feeling run down, and I love Jay to death, but I did not want to. The idea of like being 3 hours or whatever, I couldn't do it. I just was like, I can't. And I felt horrible.
3 hours?
I know, but I was really feeling.
Well, it ended up being under 2 hours because Joel and others, nobody
was not
going to be long, so they didn't show up.
Yeah. If I had been there, it would have been 4 hours. So, and I realized 100% it's my fault.
Don't worry, because for every answer I just said, Joel would say Halloween ends.
Yes.
What I know, and I did end up recording a segments with Jay.
You're in there. Yeah.
I am in there, but it's like I'm cut in a way that only Jay can make.
Pumped out.
I am such a prima donna. I could not. I had to have my own time to record.
Yeah,
because it was like at 8 o'clock at night. It was past my bedtime.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, what are you gonna do? All right, anyway, check that out. It's all good. Daryl. Oh, sorry, Daryl.
Yes.
Where can they find you?
There.
You can find me on a bunch of podcasts. You can find me on Nothing's On, which is a TV and movie podcast, and of course, we have plenty to talk about with everything with the strike and all that. You can also find me on the Walking Dead TV podcast, where we're sadly trying to deal with the fear of the Walking Dead, and it just needs to die. But we're covering it, and you're
committed.
We're committed.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man, I'm still so happy with Daryl Dixon. That show shocked the crap out of me.
Yes, it was good.
It was shockingly good.
It was good. This is not, and it's ending for a good reason.
I think I already told you I only made the first season of that show. I was like, I can't do this.
So we're struggling through it. But you can check me out there. You can check me out at Culture Trapping, is where you think I'm bad in terms of all my uncomfortable race humor. We're all bad in terms of my uncomfortable race humor. And we talk about pop culture and everything.
I subscribe to the Mel Brooks school of the way you defeat it is by making fun of it. That is how
we do.
Mockery is the best medicine for any ill. Yes.
We totally do. So you can check me out there, and go if you want to support any of the podcasts on the Patreon. Just look up the Taylor Network podcast, and you can support the Patreon there, and there's extra content on that.
Cool.
All
Peter.
Right. Yes.
Where can they find you?
What? You're weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I'm
weird. I'm not sure. Don't do the breast thing, okay?
Is that your PP there?
That was like there's an earthquake. He's gonna die.
Attacked. I blew an earthquake. Also known as a redneck truck just came through my neighborhood.
Oh wow!
He died underneath the things he loved.
Wow.
Yeah. My family then falls on top of me with all the videotapes.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So Peter, where can they find you?
Comes running and whoa.
Yeah.
So they can find me here, Retro Movie Geek, or they can go to Tear on the Tube and listen to us talk about TV movies, suspense, thriller, horror. With that. Oh wait, that dude.
Yeah,
and I'm pointing at Joel,
the other guy,
and Allison.
Yes,
and I pop up on Hugh's podcast once in a while, the Undead Wookiee. So that's mainly.
Yes,
and we moved all the Forgotten Flick stuff over to Retro Movie.
Yeah, I think
we did.
Well, kind of. I moved copies of it all there. I have yet to set up the new thing yet, Peter. Yeah. But to Peter's point, yes, in theory. But as far as anybody's concerned, I'm hoping I won't screw up the feed. But whatever.
You will.
I will. I'm sure
it's fine.
Yes, and I can obviously found Tear on the Tube, and I'm like brain farting on all the other stuff. Jay the Dead's new horror movies, of course. Check that out.
All right.
Mom and Pop.
I was getting there. So Mom and Pop Video Shop. Obviously, I'm in the shop at the moment, and this is where Tyson and I we shoot videos together here. Although we realize from a time perspective, because StreamYard, and now that I'm paying for the actual 1080p version, and it's giving us a high def version, we may do a little bit more with this, that we can then release more stuff, so that way, because poor guy, he has to drive like an hour plus just to, and then run home to get his kid. So we will do that every once in a while, but we'll be doing some more stuff on Streamer. And we did it. Go ahead, what, Peter?
So he leaves his kid in the car while he's
recording with you? At school. She's at school.
Okay.
Oh
no.
You can leave him in the trunk. It's fine.
We did our first live stream on Friday the 13th, and honestly, God, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. We actually had people show up, Daryl, believe it or not. I legit thought we'd have like nobody. I thought Peter would show up. I'm not kidding. I thought it'd be Peter and maybe like one other person. We had like, I think it was
popped up in person too.
Yeah, it was we actually had questions coming. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I'm gonna do it again. So I was hoping to do another one in November. Probably we're gonna end up definitely doing one in December. We're doing that. So
Christmas horror or Christmas movies?
Actually, we are going to do a watch along. We are going to watch the only movie that matters, which is the 1974 Black Christmas. And we were going to like do, or people will watch with us and we could talk and interact and that kind of
thought you were going to do Die Hard.
That's what I thought he was gonna say.
Yeah.
If I had my druthers, but Black Christmas is a fair second
Son
choice.
of a bitch. I was just gonna hate watch with you.
Yeah. I will say, thank you, Peter, for pointing, because when you pointed, it made me look over here, and I would have been so mad if I had you. Now, there's going to be, about the time this episode drops, give or take, the episode where I do the unboxing video for this item that I got in will drop. So you guys are going to get to see it first, other than Tyson. You ready? Oh, Peter, you're going to love this one, because with Daryl, oh my God, I can't wait. Okay, ready? I paid money to have this made, and it is awesome. The artist that made it is freaking phenomenal. Ready? Daryl, close your eyes. Close your eyes, Daryl. Seriously, close your eyes.
It's closed.
Close your eyes.
It's closed.
Okay. All right, you're wearing glasses. I can't tell. All right, ready? Hold on.
Right. That's why I'm lying.
I don't know if anybody can tell what it is yet. Can you guys see it?
Oh, I reckon.
Daryl, open your eyes. It's a munchie. It's an actual.
Why?
Wait, look at the shoes.
Look at the shoes. Oh my God.
Why?
Dude, the detail, you can't tell right here, but the detail is amazing. Like the level of work. He's got real hair. Look at that.
He looks better than the one in the movie. I couldn't even.
Actually, he kind of does. I thought that too.
Oh my God, I hate you.
Yes,
I hate you so much.
Shit, there's the hair too.
Yeah, he got a hair. He's got the rub. This is Arnold. Arnold from Munchies.
You didn't decide to get the munchie from the later movies with the one.
That's not a munchie. That's not a This is a munchie right here. Look at that, Daryl. When I got this, I was like, oh, Daryl's gonna be. He's gonna. This is if Daryl had zero respect. If it's possible to have negative respect, that's where Daryl is.
Are you gonna buy a hobgoblins next?
I would love, dude. I want a I want a tiny terrors. I've got my. You've seen my Morty. I've shown you my Morty. Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've shown you. I know I've shown you, Peter.
Oh,
I've got Tales from the.
Damn it!
Tales from the Crypt. The ventriloquist.
The guy that Don Rickles
Bobcat.
had on his hand.
Yes. Yep. That and the best part. Oh wait, Arnold fell. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I don't want Arnold.
He's down underneath the.
Wait for it, Nathan. He's a puppet. He actually goes on my arm. Look at that. Look at that hair. That disgusting. That's wonderful.
Doll.
This is what you spend your millions of dollars on. This is what you do.
I get an allowance.
Made with real hobo hair.
Oh my gosh.
That hair.
Hey, Daryl. Hey, Daryl.
No.
Well, the hair is kind of the disgusting part of that.
Yeah, I know. It's like and I may or may not be trying to get this wonderful artist, the one who made my Poltergeist clown, to make me a Belial from Basket Case in an actual basket.
You stop it.
I mean, what we're looking at right here is kind of what that's a horror host from the '80s, a little puppet on his hand and all.
Yeah, that's true. That is very much that. Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
And a munchkin on the floor.
I feel like the video shop is not a huge space, so I can have tiny terrors. That's what I've got.
Where's the Zuni doll?
I want to get a Zuni doll too. I want one of those. Yeah.
I can't.
Never.
With
not
you.
even. No.
I can't.
Last Christmas, I gave the children their own separate Krites from the Critters.
Oh, that's cool.
And what we did is we strung the elf on the shelf from in between their mouths and left a note that said you should have left cheeseburgers.
Nice.
And then as repayment, when my anniversary came around, my daughter sewed up like a groom suit and a bride's dress for the Critters and made a little pillow that said, Nathan and Jen, happy anniversary. So
that's awesome.
That's what I knew, that my children, they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll be okay. And for those of you just listening, and that was a complete and utter waste of your time if you didn't turn this off already, go to Mom and Pop Video Shop and watch the video version and watch Daryl's reaction to a grown man that has a Munchies doll.
Yeah, I'm disgusted. You want to see my disgusted look on my face?
Yeah, there's 78% of this where you can't see Daryl at all, but
yeah, because he's literally hiding away. I felt like it was like witness protection, like where they do the guy who has to they modify his voice and they got the silhouette.
Well, I was
That's what I said at
born
the
in the
beginning. It's like
darkness.
those alien abduction videos, and then the probe came out.
I was born in the darkness.
Blix, please bring me the unicorns.
I love
think
that movie.
I think that is the final word.
Sure.
Thanks for listening. Visit retromoviegeek.com and be sure to leave us voicemail feedback. You can share your thoughts by calling 484-577-3876. That's 484-57-RETRO.